Welcome to the virtual currency shiur, where we have a virtual kailo. We are giving shiur, we're starting off, on understanding what quantifies, what qualifies as money, and will Bitcoin, Ethereum, Sol, etc. also be considered money, shava kesef, or just about in by mamish. Here goes. Bitcoin is all the rage. Is it money? Is it not money? Really gets down to fundamentals. What is money? What's agdar money? I'm sure you've all, throughout the years, held the U.S. dollar and said, this is money, and doubted it. Can you redeem it? You heard rumors that you could redeem it for gold. You can't redeem it for gold. Is there gold in Fort Knox for you, or is there not? No. Today's dollars is not backed by gold. It's backed by the economy, which means essentially by you. It's kind of odd, but the ability to tax is really the backing of the dollar, meaning that they could tax essentially means put a lien on your house and take your house. So it's somewhere over there in the iffy land. Now, it's important to note that it's not redeemable. There are many other forms of money, and we're going to go through each one, and then we will return to your modern day dollar and then the Bitcoin. The first time you find money in the Torah or of use is going to be kesef evil, the money that Avram Avinu gave to Ephraim to buy the land. And the wording is evil. Evil, I think it's Unkelis that points out, is that it's readily accepted. What does readily accepted mean? Today, going with a crumpled dollar bill into a store, I'll take it. For that, we have to drill down to the fundamentals of where money comes from. The first money, the first currency coin, will be made out of silver, out of gold, out of copper. Didn't necessarily have an image on it, but it was easy to transport. It was a rare earth item. It was beautiful. It was very coveted. People wanted it. And that in itself is a allure of it, that people would trade what they had extras of to get what you had extras of, that being the gold. It's a very interesting story that will bring this out with Rabbi Yankel Galinsky. Rabbi Yankel Galinsky was in the DP camps, and he had the title called a Dayan. And all of a sudden, he hears screaming coming from the back alleys. One guy screaming, the other guy, Chaim, you're a Ganef. And Chaim screamed back at Reuven, I'm a Ganef. I'm a tzaddik. I saved your life. No, Chaim. Those are my diamonds. Those are my diamonds. Give them back to me. No. You stole my bread. And it was almost getting to blows, and Yankel Galinsky strode over, and everyone was quiet, and they wanted to hear what the Dayan had to say. They said, Dayan, tell us the din. So Rabbi Yankel says, tell me the story. So Chaim starts over how he had a loaf of bread, and his friend over there was crying for the bread, and it was in the ghetto. He said, I'll give you one piece. Much negotiations. Give me the diamonds. And gradually, what did he do? It's life itself. Gave him the bread. He gave him all his diamonds for the bread. But here we are. And when I survived, he screamed at his friend, I survived. He ripped me off. So Yaakov Galinsky said, so you traded diamonds for a measly piece of bread? And he let it sit in, and he said, no. He traded diamonds for life itself. The vehicle to have life was your bread, but it was its life in itself. Money, gold being the extras, you will always trade for other extras. Same for silver, perishables, and the like. Anything you have extra, you need a store of value. You'll hear the term in money very often thrown around, store of value. Well, where does it come from? You have to store value. If you have 1,000 grapes or whatever, not a great store of value, it's going bad. So that's out. Okay, so they understand that currency is to facilitate the exchange and store the value for another occasion. It's the simplest understanding. It's easy to transport. I mean, give me another case, right? Example, easy to transport. It has to be that you're not losing money to transport it, or not a lot, because then in itself will be similar to karka, to earth. It just loses value. Money is an item that's easy to transport. We can make the argument that money in itself is a utility, the use of money. Let me ask you a question. What is every single thing HaKadosh Baruch Hu created in this world has a use, right? A utility, a use. Does money have another use? Or is its use only to facilitate transactions? Okay, let's move on further. We'll skip a little bit to the Chassam Sefer or the Rishonim and everyone, the Gemara. We'll point out just in a moment that there are different forms, and this is where it comes. All those Eskim Hazav are going to come ahead and get stuck on. There are many different. You look at money, you think one system, but there are multiple different systems of currency. There's a bimetal system. That means there's gold, silver, and copper. X amount of copper equals X amount of silver, which equals X amount of gold. This is not such a great system because sometimes there are more copper, sometimes more silver, sometimes more gold, and it causes a drain on the society of the more coveted coin. This is actually very interesting because you'll see throughout the Gemara that 6 parts silver equal 1 part gold, and the like, essentially, or sometimes it's 12 according to Taisus. Today, an ounce of gold I think is like $3,000. An ounce of silver is $25. It's like not even worth saying it in the same breath. We'll discuss on how we got there, but just keep it in the back of your mind. So gold, we have the multi-metal system, which is not very, very. It doesn't flow well. About the oldest coin was found roughly 2,700 years ago. These coins had a stamp on them, right? What today we call a coinage, your currency stamped on it. There could be 2 reasons why you have a name or a face on a coin. You can have a face on a coin as a hechsher, saying that there's X amount of gold in the coin. And interestingly enough, and this makes it shiur, this makes it people coveted want it. And by default, this pushes up the price. And this is really the second reason, or actually the first, you'll see it overlaps. But this essentially gives it more value because people could trust it. The second reason is when stamped on it, it means the government is mandating you accept this coin. Okay. So this was the practice for roughly 1,700 years. 1,700 years. What did I say? 2,500 years to about 200 years ago. It was always the coin, it was always the metal, and you always had these exchanges. Then came along all the different, if you want to say, all the different municipalities. So it's Persia and Germany, and they just happened to be the most dominant one, and the Chassam Sefer is the first tshuva to deal with it. So I was more fascinated in zeroing in on where he was living. Hungary, Hungarian Empire, and he came from Frankfurt. So obviously, understanding the dynamics could be of help. Every municipality printed their own coins, right? The Reichenstock, the mark, all different names. And some would be more accepted, some would be less accepted in different medinas, right? We call medinas. But it wasn't really accepted in other medina, it was just harder. It was municipalities, like literally from Ocean County to Monmouth County to different counties. That's how the Duke would print them, the coins. But what's more interesting is the wording. It says bank, that the banks would do it. It seemed like that there was also another important element, that there was the Duke, and then there would be paper money that was issued by the banks. So this is another important factor to keep in mind, is you can have a central bank owned like the U.S. government, and then you can have a private bank, similar to a if you go to a bank today, you can get a certified check. It's essentially cash because it's guaranteed by the bank. All right, we'll stop from over here. We'll pick up as we progress down the road to understanding what and where does the modern day Bitcoin, Ethereum itself fall into Kesef.